Hey everybody, it's Bolshe here, back with another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous build video. Today we're going to be looking at a build for our companion, Ember. Now, Ember really is kind-hearted to a fault. She will avoid violence at all costs. So I wanted to come up with a build that was true to her character and allowed her to support the party without setting people on fire, which is what I see the majority of Ember builds do. So this build is going to focus on crowd control, heals, summons, and some of the really cool unique buffs that the witch class is able to give. All right, let's take a look. Alright, so when we get Ember at level 3, she comes with point blank shot and precise shots as feats. She has 3 levels in the Stigmatized Witch archetype, and which by the way is a spontaneous charisma-based caster. And for the most part, we're going to be staying true to that. We're going to take 18 levels of Stigmatized Witch with one little 2-level dip that I think is pretty thematic here. So at level 4, we're going to go Stigmatized Witch. We're going to boost our Charisma. Charisma is the stat that determines the difficulty class of your saving throws. So we want to maximize our Charisma. That's what we're going to do. Every single ability score increase is going to go into Charisma. Skills are kind of busted right now, so if you see me, I'm using a respec mod. If you see me, having to re-put in skills every level, that's the reason why. Okay, so the most important skill for this build is Knowledge World, because I am going to make Ember brew potions. I think that's fitting. Our first hex at level 4 is going to be Protective Luck. Now, this is really one of the cool things that the witch is capable of doing. Protective Luck you can cast on an ally, you can't cast it on yourself. And whenever somebody is targeted by an effect that requires an attack roll, the attacker must roll twice and take the worst result. So like 5e D&D, disadvantage. And this hex can be prolonged with cackle, so it can be kept up indefinitely as long as you're cackling. I'll talk about that more, and I'll show that in action later. And there's no limit on the number of times you can cast it per day. So hypothetically, you could keep your entire frontline melee with this buff at all times with Cackle. It's really good. Okay, our first spell that we're going to choose for ourselves is going to be Glitter Dust. This is a keystone feature of the build. We're going to be focusing on making our Glitter Dust as effective as possible. Now, Glitter Dust does a little AoE flash. You throw glitter in the eyes of your enemies, and they have to succeed on a will saving throw, otherwise they're blinded. Now, the game doesn't do a good job explaining to you just how good the blind debuff is. This is probably one of the most overpowered spells in the game. Blindness makes enemies flat-footed, so they don't get their AC bonus to dexterity. They become a lot easier to hit, and they get a 50% miss chance that can't be negated through pretty much anything, not even true seeing, unless they have like the blind fight feats, which I don't know if mobs will or not. But in any case, they'll be flat-footed, and they'll be a lot easier to attack and kill. So what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be taking a bunch of Metamagic to keep Glitter Dust relevant at all levels. Okay, at level 5, this is where we're going to take our dip. We're going to go into the Alchemist class, and we're going to use the Chirurgeon. Now, this is an alchemist who studies anatomy and uses this knowledge to heal. So that's great for us. We're only going to take 2 levels. On its own, this is not the strongest archetype, but for us, it gives us a couple of things. Number 1, I want to brew potions. All right, so we're picking that up. Number 2, we are going to pick up Mutagen, which at 2nd level we're going to turn into Cognatogen, and we're going to boost our Charisma up even higher. I'm going to keep my Knowledge World maxed, and maybe Religion. Kind of fitting for Ember. She's a bit of an atheist. Our first feat is going to be Spell Focus, Conjuration. And this is going to increase the difficulty class of our saving throws for any spell that's in the Conjuration School, which includes Glitter Dust. That's what we're focusing on. We get some Alchemist spells. We'll take Shield, Expeditious Retreat, Enlarged Person. Really, it doesn't matter at this point. You're only going to cast like 1 or 2 of these a day. It's only going to last for a minute. At level 6, we're going to go Chirurgeon again. So you can see these skill points are a little messed up. Doesn't matter what you take, but make sure your Knowledge World is maxed. Cognatogen turns our Mutagen from giving us physical stat bonuses, so strength, dexterity, and constitution, to mental ability scores. And we're going to be using the Charisma modifier. This is going to give us +4 Charisma for 20 minutes, and that's going to give us additional boosts to all of our casting. Primarily the difficulty class of our saving throws. That's why we're taking this. All of our levels from here on out are going to go into Stigmatized Witch. This is going to really annoy me, though, because I'm going to have to put in all my skill points every level up. So bear with me. Greater Spell Focus at level 7, Conjuration. And we really, at this point in the game, our glitter dust is doing insane levels of work. We have Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus Conjuration. That's going to increase its difficulty class. We have High Charisma. We just picked up Cognitogen. You're going to be landing glitter dust all the time. Our next first level spell, I believe at this point, I am going to go with, if you have a lot of melee, Enlarged Person is a great choice here. Unbreakable Heart is a really solid spell, a nice little buff. It dispels or it suppresses negative emotion effects like Crushing Despair, Rage, and Fear, and also anything that would cause you to harm an ally. And at about this time in the game, there are some demons that will make you attack your allies. So you can toss this on them, and they won't do that. We get another second level spell. Now at this point, I like to take, so here's my priority. My priority is going to be good crowd control spells. I'm going to make sure I pick up my heals. That's very thematic for Ember. And then I'm going to pick up my summon spells. And then anything else. So I might even go with Web. Web is another really great spell. It's also in the Conjuration School, and it will entangle anything that misses a reflex save. So this is a good choice as well. I think I'm going to go with our heal first, though. At level 8, we get another ability point. Put that into Charisma. I hope you guys aren't having this problem with the skill points. Maybe it's just because I used a mod. Our next Hex is going to be Cackle. And what Cackle does is, as a move action, you can extend the duration of any Evil Eye, Fortune, Protective Luck, or Misfortune Hex. We're going to be picking up those hexes. And this is a move action, which means you can put this on autocast, right-click it, put it on autocast, and you can still cast spells while extending the duration of these really amazing buffs. We'll talk about those other buffs and debuffs when we get to them. At level 3, I'm going to prioritize Heroism, get that nice buff out there. We'll get our summons as well, but not just yet. Our next feat at level 9 is going to be Metamagic Heighten. And this is our first step in keeping Glitter Dust relevant throughout the entire game. Heighten spell is a metamagic. You go into your little metamagic spell book, put a spell in there, choose the metamagic, and what this metamagic allows you to do is it augments the spell. You can cast it at a higher level spell slot than it starts with. So for example, us right now, we can cast 4th level spells. If we heighten Glitter Dust to be a 4th level spell, that will increase the difficulty class of the saving throw by 2. So it prevents you from out-leveling your spells, basically. It's a long-winded explanation, but I think you get it. Here I'm going to get Enlarged Person for my melee. If you have a lot of dexterity users that use like Sneak Attack, maybe you want Reduce Person. And I'm going to pick up my Summon Monster spell. We are going to have some fodder summons. Pick up Cure Serious Wounds at 3rd level. Level 10, we're going to take another level of Stigmatized Witch. We get another Hex. And at this point, I'm going to pick up Fortune. Fortune kind of does the opposite of Protective Luck. You put this on a person, on an ally, and they get to roll twice for any ability check, attack roll, saving throw, or skill check. This can also be extended by Cackle. So you can have Protective Luck and Fortune on somebody and extend those buffs with Cackling every round. Takes a lot of micromanagement, but once you get used to it, once you get that Cackle on autocast and you kind of manage your buffs a little bit, it's quite doable. Now our first spell here is going to be Cure Critical Wounds. Maybe if you're getting a lot of level drain, you want to go Death Ward. Level 11, more Stigmatized Witch. And we're going to take Metamagic Persistent Spell. Now, Persistent Spell, what this does is if an enemy makes a saving throw against one of your spells, they have to re-roll. They have to basically make the saving throw twice. And this kind of, on average, it gives you around like a +3 or 4 to the DC of your saving throw. But this can be really good. It does increase the level of your spell by 2. So if you apply the persistent Metamagic to Glitter Dust, it'll make it a 4th level spell, and you'll have to cast it from a 4th level slot. It also becomes a full round action. We'll talk about that when we actually do our demo. At this point, I think I'm going to go with Web. And let's see here. 3rd level spells, I'm going to pick up my Summon. You can get some Extraplanar Wolves for trips. That's really nice. And I'm going to pick up Death Ward first. Always nice to have Death Ward. There is a lot of level drain in the game. Get all these obnoxious skills out of the way. And our next hex is going to be, where is it? We got Fortune. Now we're getting major hexes. So it's kind of up to you whether you want to go with Evil Eye or Regenerative Sinew. I'm going to go with this. What this does is gives your target fast healing 5 for half your witch level in rounds, which is decent. But even better is it can heal up to 4 points of ability score damage to 2 ability scores. That's really nice. Ability damage is a pain. Our first spell at 5th level is going to be Cave Fangs. This is really a unique one. You cast this spell, you pick either stalactites or stalagmites, and it gives you a buff. And you, as a free action while you have this buff, can place a trap. Our trap that we're going to be placing are stalactites, which basically you drop the trap. If somebody walks over it, they have to make a reflex save or they're pinned to the ground. Now, all of our conjuration spell focus applies to this. And this is a free action. You can do this in addition to everything else you're doing in a round. So in a single round, you could buff your ally with Protective Luck. You could cackle to increase the duration, and you could place a trap every single round, basically. So her action economy is actually really efficient, and you can micromanage a ton to get a lot out of playing Ember. At level 13, our feat is going to be, this is our last Metamagic, I believe. We're going to take Selective Spell. And what this does, it increases the spell level by 1, and now your allies are not affected by your spells. So things like Web, you can drop a web down to entangle all your enemies. Your allies can walk through it without having to make saving throws. You can drop a Glitter Dust on top of your allies without blinding them. You can drop Mind Fog, which we're about to pick up right now. All of those things without affecting your allies. So that's a really fantastic Metamagic. Our next 2nd level spell, I think I would probably go with Whole Person. We kind of have all the good ones at this point. Maybe, yeah, I think that. And I'm going to pick up Delay Poison here. Make your entire party immune to poison. Now here, I like Innervation for Ember because this really weakens your foe without killing them. So this is kind of thematic for her. It's also just really strong. It's a ranged touch attack, so it's almost guaranteed to hit. She does have precise shot, so she has a really high chance of landing this. And when they're hit, they take negative levels. Don't strike an undead with this, it will just buff them. Our next spell is going to be Mind Fog. Mind Fog drops a cloud, and if the enemies fail a wisdom save, they take a -10 penalty on will saves. Well, guess what? We're built around Glitter Dust, so this is going to give us basically a -10 penalty on our strongest save that we want them to miss. So this is fantastic. You can also apply Selective Spell onto this so that your allies are not affected, which we will be doing. Level 14. Wait, did my skills finally stay? That felt different for some reason. Okay, let's see here. At this point, Major Ameliorating is good. You can use this to suppress blind, curse, disease, and poison on your ally, and it will be suppressed for 1 minute per 1 minute per witch level. So that's very strong. Our level 6 spells, we're going to start off with Greater Heroism. +4 morale to hit, saves, skill checks, and immunity to fear. Solid buff. At level 15. Now, we already went with Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus Conjuration, so we might as well go and augment our summoning. This is going to give our summoned creatures +4 enhancement to Strength and Constitution. We also really want the next feat that this is a prereq for. Our next spell, I believe, I would go with my summons here. Get some more wolves. At level 5, I think the next spell I would go with here, you could go with the summons. I think Baleful Polymorph is just a really cool spell for a witch to have, to turn somebody into, you know, a rat or something. So I would either go with that or summon monsters. The summon monster is a really great spell, but I'm definitely going to go with those two first. At level 6, I'm going to get True Seeing. Fantastic buff. This allows you to hit all of those demons that use illusion as their primary form of defense, so things that use mirror image, displacement, blur. You can see through those things and land your attacks more easily. There's some really deadly illusionists in this game that will CC you to death if you let them, and they always have mirror image and displacement. So True Seeing is essential for neutralizing those guys. Remember, skills are up to you. Just make sure you're maxing out Knowledge World. All right, our next hex. I think Evil Eye is probably where we're going to go. Evil Eye and Misfortune are our next couple. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, Restless Slumber is glitched right now. It's not as good as regular Slumber, so maybe I would take this as well. But I think for right now, we're going to go Evil Eye. Evil Eye, because we are 14 levels into Stigmatized Witch, is going to give a -4 penalty to AC, ability checks, attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. You pick one. And it lands, and it is guaranteed to land for at least one round, and then you can cackle to extend it indefinitely. So a real strong debuffing spell there. At level 7, we are our 7th level spells. We're going to take Heal first. Level 17 goes into Stigmatized Witch. And now we're going to pick up Superior Summoning. And now, anytime we cast a summoning spell, and we picked up just about all of them so far, if you choose a creature that gets more than one creature summoned, you get to add one to that. So we get an additional summon, an additional meat shield every time we cast that spell. And now I'm going to go with Baleful Polymorph. By the way, this also gives us a fort save. Everything we've had so far targets will and reflex, so having a fort save is good too. You generally want to inspect your enemies and see what is their lowest save to see what spell you target them with. Our next 6th level spell. Now, there's a lot of good 6th level spells, but to stay with the theme that we're going with so far, I'm going to pick up the summon spells. Our 7th level spell, Legendary Proportions. This is fantastic for your melee. It's a huge buff to their damage and their survivability with the natural armor increase. Level 18, we're going to go our 16th level in Stigmatized Witch. Our hex is going to be, let's see, we took Evil Eye. I think I'm going to take Misfortune. This is going to make your enemy roll twice for any attack, saving throw, any of those things. And you can really start to stack these debuffs. So you can Evil Eye first, Misfortune second, you can Cackle to keep them up. You could hit them with a curse if you wanted to at that point. You can really target saving throws to guarantee just about that you're going to land your CC. Let's see here. 8th level, we are going to go with Rift of Ruin. Now, Rift of Ruin is a conjuration spell, creates a hole in the ground, people fall in, they start taking a ton of damage, they're stuck there. So because we've invested so heavily in conjuration, this is a great spell for us. We can also slap Selective on top of this to make it a 9th level spell, and now our allies are able to walk over the rift without falling in. So all good things for our build. Level 19, we get our last feat. And then really, this is up to you. There's a few good choices here. There are, let's see here, we could take Improved Elven Immunities, which will give you a bonus to saving throws against enchantment spells and also increase the DC of your enchantment spells. Now, we didn't take a whole lot of enchantment spells, but you could reevaluate the build if you wanted to do that. Spell Penetration. Now, we're primarily dealing with Glitter Dust, and I don't think the pit spells are affected by Spell Penetration either, Spell Resistance, so maybe not that. Honestly, up to you at this point. I think I'm going to go with Improved Elven Immunities. At level 7, now we don't get a whole lot of 7th level spells, and I still want to get things. So let's see here. We've got the Summon. The Summon is great. Bestow Curse. The Greater Curse is fantastic. You can put a -12 penalty on Strength and Dexterity. That's amazing. That's a -6 to AC, -6 to hit and damage. You can do Greater Curse of Deterioration. Your subject will suffer a -8 penalty on attack, saves, ability checks, skill checks. This is a fantastic spell. If you stack this with Evil Eye, Misfortune, and this on top of it, I mean, you really are neutralizing one enemy. Our next spell is going to be, I'm going to pick up the summons just to be consistent so far. And finally, at level 20, we take our 18th level Stigmatized Witch. We get more charisma, get all of these skills out of the way. Now, your skills aren't going to look like this. And our Hex is going to be, we now get access to our Grand Hexes. So I'm going to take Life Giver. This allows you to cast Resurrection once a day with no material component. And this is great. It will bring your person completely back to life, full health, and everything. And your 9th level spells, really, it depends on what's in your party. If you have another arcane caster, so you get things like Foresight, Heroic Invocation, Communal Mind Blank, if you get all of those things, it's up to you. Maybe you want to take your summon spells. You can get this from a ring somewhere in the game. You can get this if you're a spontaneous caster, so maybe don't take Heroic Invocation. Communal Mind Blank is really strong. Summons are really good. You get the 1d3 Movanic Divas, which are very strong, and we get an additional one because of Superior Summoning. So I think I'll go with this, assuming that there's another arcane caster in the group. And that's pretty much it. All right, for Ember's Mythic Path, at Mythic Rank 1, we went Abundant Casting, get more of those 1st through 3rd spells. At Mythic Rank 2, we get Mythic Spell Focus. This doubles the benefit of all of those spell focus for Conjuration that we took. At Mythic Rank 3, I went with Boundless Healing, and this allows us to heal at range, which is really nice. Sometimes you don't want your healer to run into combat to have to heal somebody. And it also removes any limits on the healing spells. So I believe like Cure Light Wounds, it can go to normally a maximum of 1d8 plus 5. With this, you can just do 1d8 plus your caster level. So you would do 1d8 plus 18 when we're level 20. Mythic Brew Potions at Mythic Rank 4. That's going to allow us to craft potions up to level 6. So things like Greater Heroism and I can't really think of anything else. True Seeing, things like that. At Mythic Rank 5, we're going to go Improved Abundant Casting. Mythic Rank 6, Expanded Arsenal. I went with Enchantment here. I was planning on picking more enchantment spells. You could go with whatever school you want and tailor your spell choices to that. But if you're going with this build, probably Expanded Arsenal Enchantment is a good choice here. And this allows us to apply all of our spell focus feats that we took for Conjuration to Enchantment now. Greater Abundant Casting at Mythic Rank 7. At Mythic Rank 8, you can't see it, but I chose Extra Mythic Ability, Enduring Spells, and Greater Enduring Spells at Mythic Rank 9. This is going to make pretty much all of our spells, all of our buffs at least, last for 24 hours. And then I didn't really know what to choose at Mythic Rank 10. I kind of ran out of things. So I went with Beneficial Curse and I went with Pranked just so I could get Mirror Image and get some of those enchantment spells like Confusion, Insanity. They also kind of seem on point for Ember thematically. All right, so before we take a look at the demo, I wanted to just do a brief overview of Metamagic. Metamagic you can access here in the bottom left of your regular spell book. And the way this works is you can select any spell from your normal spell book. You can see I already have some that have Metamagic. So for example, we'll take our baseline Glitter Dust. Now, as a level 2 spell, it's good for the first few levels, but your difficulty class of your saving throw scales with spell level. So if you want to keep this spell relevant throughout the game, you have to add Metamagic to it. Now, Heighten is the probably the best way to do that. Every spell level you increase this Glitter Dust by, so I can click these arrows, and I can increase the spell level all the way up to 8th level. I guess you can't Heighten to 9th for whatever reason. But in any case, this Glitter Dust now has a difficulty class of 36, whereas normally it has 30. So I'm adding 6 DC to the saving throw by using Heighten. And, you know, we can stack on top of that. We can stack things like Persistent, where they have to roll twice, Selective, not on, well, actually, yes, Selective on Glitter Dust works. So this is how you do that. And so let's do one that's not Heighten. Let's say I throw on Persistent. Well, now I'm going to write this in my spell book as a 4th level spell. And there it is. And you can see when I go back here, you can see I've got a ton of glitter dust. Let's just boost it all the way up, maximum DC of 36. Right? You can see I've got a ton of glitter dust. Some of them are just selective, some of them are just persistent, some are both persistent and selective, heightened, all over the place. You can tailor this however you want. But the main thing is that you're going to want to have glitter dust in every single spell level because it really is probably the best spell that we have. Ah, yes. And runes, the Rift of Ruin is not affected by spell resistance, so yet another reason we don't need to invest in spell penetration. All right, so let's see this build in action here. Now I spawned 3 CR 16 Minotaurs in here against my level 5 Camellia, and I have some summons, so hopefully they pick these guys up before they slaughter my Camellia. So I'm going to drop a selective Mind Fog right on top of these guys because I really want to... what's going on there? I really want to land my glitter dust, so here it comes. Now, unfortunately, the bad thing about all this Metamagic is that your spells are full round actions when you apply Metamagic. So you have to get your spells out first before you start cackling and making use of cackles. So let's see here. I'll go ahead and drop a, hey, you know what? Let's go big. We'll go our 9th level. This is a persistent, selective, heightened glitter dust that has a DC of 34. But even though it's a DC of 34, they have to roll twice. So here it comes. Let's see if it lands. Full round action. She's sitting there casting. There it goes. And it hit everybody. Let's take a look at this save. It's a DC 34. They had a -10 penalty to make it. So that basically makes it a DC 44. And also, by the way, even if they were going to make that, they'd have to roll twice. So virtually impossible for these CR 16 Minotaurs to make that spell. So now that we have that going on, I'm going to go ahead and pop my Protective Luck on Camellia. Oh, and you know, while I'm doing that, I can also root these guys in place with free action Cave Fangs, and they are rooted. They failed their reflex save, which was a DC 33. And they'd have to roll twice. Okay, so now I've got Protective Luck up on Camellia for 2 rounds, and now she can go into combat, and I can stand nearby, and I'll just cackle every round. And I can also put Fortune on her as well. There goes my Fortune, and I should auto-cast Cackle. Let's make sure that she gets it out. There's her Cackle. Okay, so, and there we go. We are just now, I can Evil Eye, I can just kind of go throw around hexes and things. Oh, did he land that? No, he missed it. Okay, so he has even worse saving throws now because of Evil Eye. So let's turn him into a dog. Now that he's fully debuffed. Oh, my summons killed him. Okay, so fun stuff. Very interactive. Between Cave Fangs, you can use this at any time. You can drop a quick little Cave Fang that will root people in place, and that's in addition to all your other activities. You can cackle every round. You can toss out Protective Luck, Fortune to get extra, to get advantage basically on every roll. A very, very active play style if you want it to be. If you want to just sit back and, plink away with a bow, you can also do that, but she has a lot of options here. All right, so that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. All right, see you next time. Bye.